Hello friends, welcome back to Cinnamon Sanctuary. On the menu today, we have my delicious meatball recipe. In my tray, we have about 750 grams of lean beef mince, and I'm going to season that now. So I just poured in about half an onion, and I'm going to add to that about 2 cloves of garlic with my trusted garlic crusher. I can't decide whether this was a good investment, to be honest with you. Sometimes I find that it could have been much quicker just chopping it by myself. I don't know. Let me know. What do you make? What do you think of garlic crushes? And a second clove of garlic. And then I'm going to go in with some Aromat Knorr. This can be found in most major supermarkets. I love that stuff. And then going in with some thyme. A little bit of all-purpose seasoning. Some curry powder. Some black pepper. And some parsley. It's entirely up to you what type of seasoning you want to put in there. This is just what I prefer to use. Here we have some breadcrumbs, about 2 tablespoons. This will just allow for the mixture to stay together, and 1 egg for binding purposes. Now we're just going to mix everything together. I'm going in with my bare hands because sometimes I find that gloves get in the way of things. But yeah, feel free to wear gloves if you prefer. So just mixing everything up in time for forming the meatballs. This bit, I don't know why, I've always found it so therapeutic. But yes, now we are forming our balls. They're medium sized, but it's entirely up to you how big or how small you want them to be. This is how mine will look. And I'm just going to go ahead and use up the whole mixture. And this will form about, I think, 25 balls. I'm pretty sure I counted them. There were about 24 to 25 balls. Now it's time to fry our meatballs. I'm just adding about 1 tablespoon of oil. We don't need a lot of oil because we're going to shallow fry the meatballs. Once the oil is hot, we can now start adding our meatballs. I was doing this twirly motion just to find out if the oil was actually hot enough, which it was. And then yes, we can start adding them in. In this case, I added them in 2 batches, so half of what I had was put into this pan. At this point, I'm just turning the meat around. It's been about 6-7 minutes since I put the meatballs in the oil, and I'm just turning it around to make sure that it's evenly cooked. So it's been about 7-8 minutes, and at this point our meatballs are seared on the outside, so it's time to take them out. They may not be entirely cooked inside. It's not a problem, don't worry if that's the case, because they're going to be going back into our tomato sauce. So at this point I'm more interested in having them seared outside, make sure that they're all whole and don't crumble, and then they'll be going back into our sauce at a later point. So now we're just going to put in our last batch of meatballs and cook it the exact same way we did for the first batch. Make sure you turn it around from time to time to ensure that all sides are evenly cooked. While the last batch of meatballs are cooking, I'm just going in to blend a can of chopped tomatoes, half an onion, and 2 cloves of garlic, which I'm going to use as a base for my sauce. And this will be complemented at a later stage with 1 jar of tomato sauce. Now it's time to pick up the remaining batch of our meatballs. You can see they're nice and golden brown, just as I like it. Oh, look at that, yes! And the oil can be used for our tomato sauce. Don't mind the look of the pan right now. This is pure flavor. So I'm just going in with a little bit more oil to ensure that the tomatoes cook nicely. We want them to sort of fry to begin with. And I'm just going in with a blended mix of tomatoes. This will be covered up and we let this cook for approximately 15 minutes to begin with. I'm just going to rinse my container with a little bit of water because we don't want to waste anything. And I'm pouring that back in. It's been about 12-13 minutes and our tomato sauce is bubbling away nicely. What you want is for the oil to skim at the surface, and that's when you know that it's pretty much cooked. So I'm just stirring it around to make sure that nothing is sticking. And our next step is going to be to add some tomato paste, about 1 soup spoon of tomato paste. This looks amazing, so nice and red, but for that extra red factor, as I mentioned, I'm going to add a bit of tomato paste. Going in with some seasoning now by way of a couple of bay leaves, some Aromat/Maggi substitute, some black pepper, some dried parsley, some all-purpose seasoning, a few drops of Leon Perrin sauce, and some sugar. I had brown sugar at hand, but feel free to use white sugar if you prefer. And I find that the sugar really helps with the acidity of the tomatoes. So we're now stirring everything together, and it's also a good time to start adding in our meatballs, as you will see. Once the meatballs have been added to the tomato base, now is also a good time to go in with your jar of pasta sauce, stir, and let it simmer for a few minutes. I really like adding red pepper to my meatballs. I think it's a nice addition, and also it's really nice for flavoring. So now I'm just slicing about 3/4 of a red pepper in. Once I've added in my red pepper, I'm going in with a teeny tiny bit of water. This is optional. I just wanted a little bit more liquid gravy to form with the tomato sauce, which is why I added that in. But that's entirely optional. It's not really needed. It's, as you can see, it's, you know, nice and full at that point. And then we're just going to cover it up and let it cook for a further 5 to 10 minutes. It's been about 7 minutes later, and my meatball sauce is pretty much done and looks amazing, if I dare say so myself. The red pepper is nicely cooked, the meatballs are well coated, and I just couldn't wait at this point to serve it up with some spaghetti. And giving you a close up now, bubbling away nicely. Look at this redness. The tomato paste will have a lot to do with this, and it looks so rich, and I really recommend that you try this. Honestly, you won't regret it. It's so delicious. It actually doesn't take that long to make. So if you've enjoyed watching this recipe, please give a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and comment, and I hope to see you very soon on my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.